how powerful was that movie? And Annie and Andrea, let's give them another round of applause. You know, sometimes you wonder, you get a little cynical, a little skeptical, and you wonder what difference can one person make, right? Can one person in this complicated society actually have enough of an impact to change things? And you guys are really an inspiration, and you are a model of the example that when people stand up and people show courage, there is nothing that they can't do, and we thank you for your inspiration. One more round of applause. And you are both honorary New Yorkers. We're now going to take credit for all of the work that you do. Congratulations. To the people who put this movie together, which was really well done. It had a powerful message, but it was artfully produced. To my little sister, Maria Cuomo Cole, who was a part of this movie, I am so proud of her. Let's give her a round of applause. To our great Lieutenant Governor, Kathy Hochul, who's been all over the state, and Chris Quinn, who's here tonight, who's been all over the state working on this message. A couple of quick points, if I can, because the message was really in this movie, and it was so powerfully done. I just want to bring you up to date with where we are in this state. But, you know, you are left with so many questions after watching this production. And one of the questions is, how could the universities do this, right? These are colleges. These are great academic universities. They're a great part of this country and our history. And why weren't they better? At the end of the day, they are businesses. That's what they are. Well, we wish they were more and we wish they were better. They are businesses. I learned this the hard way. I was Attorney General in the state of New York before I was governor. And we had a complaint where a student group came and said that they were taking out student loans that were recommended by the college. And it turns out that the student loan the college was recommending was actually a very expensive loan. The interest rate was very high. And we thought, well, this must be a mistake, and we started to look into it, and it turned out that it wasn't a mistake, that a college was actually recommending a a bank to its students, and the college was getting a kickback from the bank. So the students would all be sent to the bank, and the bank would give them a loan, and part of the interest that the student was paying for the rest of their life was going back to the university. And I remember I was floored when I first heard this. And I said, wow, it must be a mistake. Or, you know, there's one deviant university. Make a very long story short, it turned out that all the colleges were doing that. And they would have what they call the quote-unquote preferred lender. And you know what the preferred lender was? That they would advertise on day one when the students were walking in, and they'd give shirts from the preferred lender, and you should go to Acme Bank to get your mortgage. Preferred lender for the college, because the college basically gave that bank the exclusive contract for their students. And the college picked the lender who gave the largest kickback to that college. Almost every college in the state of New York, almost every college in the United States of America. Here's the silver lining. That doesn't happen anymore. Not in the state of New York, and not in the United States of America. And it becomes... And the first step, and the hardest step, is the exposure of the problem. And that's what you guys have done so masterfully here. You have exposed the problem. And you have to expose it to a point where it can't be denied and it can't be dismissed. And once it is exposed, the solution has to reach a critical mass where colleges can't afford not to do it. And we are in the midst of that process right now. And we think the state of New York can actually make a contribution. We started last year, and we went to all the colleges that the state controls, state university system, which is the SUNY system, State University of New York, and the City University of New York, CUNY system. And we adopted a policy that is a uniform consent, where yes means yes, and we adopted a policy that said this is what the school must do to help a victim and honor a victim's rights. And it's a victim's rights statement, and the most important point to me is that that victim must be apprised of their right to go to law enforcement and report the crime, and must be apprised of that right immediately. College campuses choose to treat the matter with their own campus security, and they handle it as an internal matter. Why? Because if they can handle it internally, they can control it. You heard the campus security. They have their own rules. They're not really law enforcement. They're campus security, and the campus monitors what they do, and the campus has rules. And yes, the campuses, which are businesses, which are franchises, which are brands, don't want this to be public. Why? It hurts fundraising. It hurts the number of students who would go. And since you don't hear about it on any colleges, the college that speaks to this first is a college that is actually going to look like they have a problem that no one else has. So the campus security, I believe, is part of a system designed to keep it quiet. Don't let it get into the press. Don't let it be in the newspaper. Don't let this hurt the reputation of the school. Make it go away. Make it go away. The exact opposite is if law enforcement is notified, they then lose control. So we have a law that is pending now that basically has a Miranda rights for a victim of sexual assault. And you all know the Miranda rights. You see it on TV now. The first thing that has to be told the person when they're arrested, you have to read them their Miranda rights so they know what their rights are. Well, we want every victim of sexual assault to be read their victim's rights by any personnel on a college campus, anyone affiliated with the administration or management or security of the college, must read the victim their victim's rights. And the number one right is you may have been victim of a crime and you have a right to go to law enforcement, local, town, county, or a special unit that we're putting together in the state police, the New York State Police, which will have a special unit to respond and trained just to handle these crimes. And then we get out the word to colleges that that is the way it must, and if it is not, then it is a crime by a security personnel or a faculty personnel not to inform the victim of their rights. It would be a major, major advancement. We have the law pending. We've been working on it for a year. That's why the Lieutenant Governor has been all over the state, and Chris Quinn has been all over the state to get this law passed. Now, you say, well, the law should be a no-brainer, right? And on the merits, it should be a no-brainer. Who opposes it? Every private college campus in the state of New York. Almost every, virtually. Some we have converted one way or another. But virtually, every college campus is against it. And colleges are very powerful institutions, and their board of directors are very powerful boards of directors. And when you put all those private colleges together and all those boards of directors together, they're a powerful force. And that's what we're fighting right now in the Assembly and the Senate, trying to get that law passed. We're down to the last 2 weeks of the legislative session. We haven't gotten it passed yet, but we are still very hopeful. And we're hopeful because there is not a group who we have talked to about this, who don't get it and who don't support it. The people are with us, and ultimately, the people win. All we have to do is make sure that the people speak up and they make their voice heard, and that's what the Lieutenant Governor was talking about. Call your assemblyman, call your senator, say this bill is pending, don't come home unless you pass this bill. New York passes the bill. The good news is that is critical mass. When you pass a law in the state of New York, people know about it. Now I'm going to give you a little New York arrogance. This is pure New York arrogance. New York is not just another state. And when we pass a law, people take note. And it can actually change the dialogue in the nation. We passed a law called the same-sex marriage law, gay marriage law, where the state of New York stood up and said that everybody has a right to marry. And that law echoed all across this country. Chris Quinn was the great moving force behind that law. We passed gun rights and gun victims laws in this state that echoed all across this nation. And we are going to pass the strongest law for victims of sexual assault on college campuses, and we are going to pass it in the next 2 weeks, and it will echo all across this nation. With your help, we'll get it done. Thank you, and God bless you, and thank you for being here tonight.